Hey, what's up? This is Kevin from Kevin's Barbecue Joints, and I am super excited about this one. It's with Dr. Nick Nicholson. He's from the Meat Board. If any of you have seen photos from the barbecue camps that Food Waste Texas puts on and Texas A&M, you've probably seen Dr. Nick Nicholson, and I sure didn't know a lot about him. And I was interested, and I've been meaning to talk to him for a long time, and we finally got a chance to connect. He comes with an amazing pedigree. He has an undergraduate degree in animal science, a master's in food technology, and a PhD in microbiology. And he is beyond a wealth of knowledge in food safety. And I wanted to pick his brain and learn his path and how he went on that path and why he went on that path and how he got connected to the camps, which he went to Texas A&M, so it makes a lot of sense, but I didn't really know his path to begin with. I also wanted to talk about the Meat Board because it's an amazing butcher shop in Fort Worth. There's not a lot of good butcher shops across the country. That number is dwindling for the amount of great butcher shops, and Fort Worth has an amazing one. It's open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. From 11 to 2, they have an amazing lunch, and he describes that. He describes everything that they do at this butcher shop in detail. Everything is upper choice to prime. You get poultry, lamb, seafood. They'll cut to order. It's an old school meets new school butcher shop. They also have Joe Risky is there, and I interviewed him. I'll put a link to his interview below. I've interviewed him a number of years ago, and he's smoking meats, so there's that component too. They're going to start doing classes. The interesting thing about this is they opened up a couple months before COVID hit, so they've been dealing with that animal, and especially everyone who watches this knows how difficult it was to get meat during the early days of the pandemic, but they were able to supply people with meat. It's definitely going to be on your list of places to go. If you're in Fort Worth or around there, you have to stop by. They have a lot of grab and go items. They have wine items. You'll hear all of it in the interview. I can't thank him enough for taking the time. I'm honored that he shared his story, and I'm honored that I could share all about the Meat Board because I've heard from a lot of friends that it's an amazing place, and I wanted to share that with you guys. So if you're enjoying these, please subscribe. That way you don't miss out. I do a couple of these per week. I have a website at kevinsbbqjoints.com. But at the end, stay safe and visit your local barbecue joint and your local butcher shop. Good afternoon, Dr. Nick. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time. I wanted to talk to you for a long, long time. And I wanted to start off too to thank you for your service. You were 21 years?
21 years in the Army Reserve, the Medical Service Corps.
What exactly is that?
We're the people that take field hospitals and MASH hospitals and evacuation ambulances, helicopters to the field.
That's very important. That's vital. Oh man. Well, but thank you so much. And I hadn't known, and I read when I was reading up on you and doing research, I saw, and that's really special. So thank you. And thank you for everything you do. One of the reasons why, and I mentioned it off air, that I wanted to talk to you is because a lot of people have either seen photos, maybe photos from Kelly Yandel of
Yeah.
you at the different camps, and or had heard your name or have heard of the Meat Board. And so I wanted to kind of give some people some background on you, and then also hopefully we could delve a little deeper into meat science and the Meat Board, if that's okay.
Sure. We'll go anywhere you want to.
And usually I'm very tangential, but where did you grow up first off?
I grew up in a small town in central Texas, Franklin, Texas,
Franklin, Texas.
about 35 miles northeast of College Station.
Oh, okay. All right. So what was that like? It was a small town. Do you like small towns?
I loved it, but I needed to get out of it. So when I left to go to college in 1963, I never really went back.
Have you been back?
I go back occasionally, but it's usually for something that's not fun.
Yeah. Okay. No, I get it.
My grandfather had a ranch. My uncles had what we call farms. Anything less than 1,000 acres was a farm.
Oh.
Anything over 1,000 acres was a ranch. That's the way we described it anyway. So I grew up on that, working that ranch from time to time. My uncles all deer hunted there, and they all loved to cook. We had a huge pit out there to put mostly live oak and some hickory on.
Okay.
It was pretty much direct cooking. There wasn't any offset or anything like that. And I don't remember us ever doing a brisket.
I was gonna say, you never did?
I think it was pre-brisket era.
For a lot of people.
Yeah, we smoked a lot of pork ribs and beef ribs and sausage and stuff like that. Yeah, I got a compassion for cooking from my uncle.
In my mind, that sounds really, really special. And that sounds like ideal growing up and having that kind of like, did you work on this on the farm then?
We did. We worked cattle and we hauled hay. Those were the two main things we did. We didn't live out there. We stayed in the small camp out there. And then it was in the Navasota River bottom.
Okay.
So we had a lot of mosquitoes.
It's so
And
funny when you see photos, you don't think of the mosquito part.
Yeah, and pretty wild cattle.
And then also probably rattlesnakes and other things.
We had some timber rattlers, yeah.
Yeah.
The water moccasins
Oh,
were the nastiest.
you have a PhD and a doctorate, right? But they're in two different things, right?
No, just a PhD.
Okay.
So we called it, when I was in the Army, I had to tell everybody I was a doctor, but not a real doctor.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's in food safety?
It's in microbiology.
Okay.
And specifically food microbiology.
Okay.
So I got undergraduate in animal science, master's in food technology, and then a PhD in microbiology. I went to A&M in the first place to become a veterinarian.
Oh, okay.
But my grades the first year were really, really bad.
Like a lot of people.
So it took me 3 years to get back on track.
So the plan was to be a veterinarian? Did you want to go back? Did you want to go to a small town and be a veterinarian, or was that?
Yeah, I wanted to go home and be a large animal veterinarian and probably starve to death.
You probably would, and maybe the path probably makes more sense. When did you get on this path?
I took a course my junior year in dairy microbiology.
Okay.
And I had a professor named Carl Vanderzant. And he was just a magnificent teacher and mentor. So in the next 4 years, I took every microbiology course on the A&M campus, including the ones out at vet school, the veterinary school.
Just to get your fingers, like, just kind of get into it a little bit.
Yeah, I kind of wanted to rub it in your face a little bit.
Exactly. Can you explain to people what microbiology is then?
Well, in food microbiology, it's a study of the most common bacteria that cause food poisoning.
Okay.
And we're also very involved in studying those organisms that are probiotics and are used to manufacture dairy products. So we have kind of a bad side and a good side to microbiology. But it's all, back then it was, we knew how to use a microscope. And today they have DNA tests, PCR tests, and they don't have to have a microscope anymore.
So but do they still have classes where you could use a microscope, at least to get people to have that knowledge?
Yeah, the basic courses are going to show you what they look like and how to stain them to start the differentiation, to try to identify them. You had to know whether they were what they call gram positive or gram negative to start with. And then that would put you on a trail down one path of decision tree versus going down the other side.
And are you trying to find this because if like an eventual career you'd be looking for these things in like testing product to make sure it didn't have these things, or are you testing to see if they're having a problem, then they could test them?
Later on, I did both.
Okay.
Because I worked in commercial testing laboratories and owned 3 for a while. But it was mostly, when I started, I wanted to be in diagnostic microbiology, identifying organisms, unknown organisms, doing research on those organisms. And it just ended up, my first job was in seafood technology.
Okay. and what is seafood technology?
Well, I got kind of thrown into it, but it was a job. I had the entire Texas coast that I worked. I worked with shrimp processing plants, oyster processing plants, crab picking plants, and so on.
Do you find that, like, I don't want to scare anybody, but did you find places that were ridiculous, that you couldn't believe the practices that they had?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I couldn't believe that the health department hadn't been there earlier, but most of them were really trying hard. They didn't know,
I can imagine,
what they needed to do, and they wanted to do the right thing. So I worked with a lot of good people during those years. And then I went into the lab business, kind of became a generalist. I worked in a lot of different commodities, dairy plants, orange juice plants,
Oh, wow.
a cookie plant one time,
Really?
a lot of beef and pork plants and poultry plants. And it
Are
was
you,
usually trying to find what an issue, where a problem was that was causing a problem with either quality or safety.
because you hear about alerts and you hear about problems. I worked in the I worked for Kroger and opening cheese shops, and there'd be alerts coming in via fax, I think it would come, or some kind of, or email maybe, and they'd say, okay, you got to pull all of whatever because of salmonella, or pull all. Now, is that something that once that happens, then do they have to trace it? That's to trace it, right, and figure out what part of a plant or what plant is causing this, or
Usually when they do the recall, they already know.
oh, they do, okay.
First, yeah, so they've identified the production date, the lot numbers, the manufacturer, and then the FDA or USDA would issue that recall.
Oh, that was it. Yeah, it was from them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. But it sounds exciting, interesting to go into try to find unknown or unusual things. And you didn't go that. Did you ever get a chance to go down that path to find things and discover things?
Yeah, my thesis, PhD thesis, was kind of serendipity.
Yeah.
I was doing some work with shrimp, pond raised shrimp on the Gulf Coast. And so I had to, in my media, my auger, I had to incorporate a little bit of salt to get those organisms, those bacteria to grow. Well, the wildlife science department was doing some nutrition studies on shrimp, and they were dying off real fast, and water would cloud up and the shrimp would die. So nobody at the vet school or in the wildlife science department could find anything. So when I started looking for it on my media that had salt in it, we found Vibrio perihemolyticus, which was the first time it had ever been isolated in the Gulf of Mexico.
Wow.
It was a foodborne organism in Japan, primarily because they ate a lot of raw seafood.
Mm-hmm. So your thesis was about that. Then did that help other people?
Yes, because we did a lot on what were the characteristics of its growth, what were the characteristics of prevention, death, time, temperature relationship, and cooking, looking at growth and pathogenicity. So hopefully it helped.
You would hope so. And does it intrigue you when you like things like the novel coronavirus or things that are coming, that or the bird flu or swine flu? Do those things intrigue you because it's interesting how they manifest? Like it's all the terrible things exist because of those, but what is that? How does your brain work when you hear about this?
I'm a member of the American Society of Microbiology, have been for over 50 years.
Wow.
I still read the journals, the ones of interest to me.
Yeah.
But yes, I like to follow that kind of stuff.
So then how did your path then lead to, was it because you were part of the Texas A&M family that you?
Well, we were on the faculty at the same time. They had just come on when I'd been there 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
So I knew them and of meat science, of course, because we were in the Clayburg building,
Mm-hmm.
named after the King Ranch. And they had an entire floor of meat science, and we had 2 labs for seafood. So we always told them, joked with them that they might have a meats judging team, but we had a really good shrimp judging team. So it was fun. I got to know them there. And then when Foodways Texas farmed the first board, I was a member of that first board.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. Okay.
Yeah. And then that's where kind of the barbecue camp and Camp Brisket evolved from. And it's just been a great deal for Foodways Texas and for Texas A&M.
Oh, it's one of the best. And it's something that people, obviously, from all over the world come to these. And it's an interesting phenomenon. And now obviously I've tried for, I think, 4 years to go. So
it's tough now. I mean, when they had to go to that lottery because there were just so many people jamming the system and crazy. Still very popular.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, and and then the pandemic changed and pushed everything out because there's another one in July, right? There's another camp in July.
I believe so.
Or will you be at that one?
I will be. I used to teach some food quality and safety. And one of them, Davey Griffith's teaching that now.
Mhm.
And I started off, I was intrigued with smoke and the complex chemistry of smoke and meat. So I tried to teach a course a couple of times called The Chemistry of Smoke.
Okay.
Well, it was a little bit over the heads of, I think, our guys, and it bored them a little bit. So we toned it down, and I've been part of the smoke panel with some of the pit masters, and that's fun.
Is that the one with Homer?
Homer's been on it. Brian Bracewell's been on it. Joe Risky's been on it. So there's different ones. Perini's been on it. I've been going to it. I can go to it every chance I get. See College Station again.
Well, so where do you live now then?
I'm in Fort Worth.
Okay, you live in Fort Worth because you live close to the meat board there, or closer to the meat.
Oh, I'm about a mile.
You're very
I'm
close.
2 lights from it.
You're very close to it. So so then how did that come about?
Well, I moved up here in 1999 to implement HACCP program in some meat processing plants.
Okay.
And my boss was Don Ray.
Huh.
He's now my partner in the meat board. We became good friends, kind of went different paths. Both of us went to Tyson for a while.
Oh.
Then we went to, after Tyson, I went to Standard Meat Company, which in every Aggie meat guys is the dream come true.
Why is that?
It's just a wonderful environment, wonderful family. They do a great job of providing quality meat. They cut steaks for Outback. They do a lot of stuff for Hello Fresh. It's all good technology, new technology. It was fun to give a tour of the plant. So after Standard, Don and I were, and I still do some work for Standard. Don and I were sitting in the office one day and talking about, it's really not a good butcher shop in Fort Worth. And I had been asked by one of the participants at Camp Brisket, where can you buy good meat in Fort Worth? And I didn't have a good answer for him.
Uh-huh.
I didn't want to slander anybody, but I wanted to be honest. So I said, I really don't know of one. So Don had been in the meat business all his life with Safeway, KPR Foods, Food Brands America, IBP, Tyson. He's got a pedigree that's unbelievable.
Yeah, sounds like it, yeah.
So he has a passion for it as well. So we talked about it and said, well, let's put a little plan together and see what happens. Well, we bounced that around for like 3 years.
Oh.
Because we couldn't find what we thought was the right location.
Okay.
So where the meat board is now, we said if we can't make it work there, we can't make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So we opened 2.5 years ago, 2 months before COVID.
Yeah, I remember.
We had a great business plan,
Yeah.
and then we got COVID too. And so it was just a mess. We don't know whether we did good or bad, but we're still here and we're clawing.
Yeah, no, I can imagine. And between us and whoever's listening, a lot of people that I've spoken with have opened up things right like a month before the pandemic hit. So it seems like it's a weird synergy that happened, and the fact that you guys are around, and that's why also too I wanted to shine light on it, because a lot of people I talk to are in Fort Worth and Dallas or fly to that area or come to the area, and I wanted to know how great it was. So then you opened 2.5 years ago. What are the hours now, and what all do you offer? And to be honest, a lot of cities don't have really great butcher shops. There's one good butcher shop near me, but it's falling to the wayside, I think, because people aren't. I don't know why. I miss the old butcher shops.
Yeah, and that we wanted to create that atmosphere.
Mm-hmm.
So we have a cooler, a cutting room with a huge glass window in the front of it.
I think I've seen it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so you can watch these guys trim their tenderloin, trim their ribeyes, cut the steaks right in front of you. If you want an 1.25 inches or 1.5 inches. Everything we have is either upper choice or prime, and it's all aged for at least 30 days. Not the tenderloins, but the other cuts. Yeah. And so we have a good offering of poultry. Seafood, we've got lamb, we've got pork. We can get you about anything you want, but we like to concentrate on those beef middle meats, the strip, the ribeye, and tenderloin.
Specific ranches that you work with?
Well, we've looked at that, but it's pretty much logistically impossible right now.
I understand.
We still got to, I mean, the volumes that they produce are not enough to impact time in a packing plant.
Makes sense.
They might be doing 3,000 to 4,000 head a day.
Gotcha.
So we buy stuff out of the Midwest. Most of it's branded, and it's within some size ranges that we like. So they're not the big subprimals where we have to cut thin steaks. We can cut thicker steaks. So we've been fortunate that we've got 2 or 3 really good suppliers for that beef.
And are they butchers that you had known for a while, or did you bring in butchers that you trained? Or
we have one that came from another meat company, and he's very knowledgeable. He's Don's stepson.
Oh,
so he's got a little bit of that in his blood.
Mm-hmm.
And the others we've trained, Don takes them back. He's very meticulous and pretty specific on what he wants a steak to look like. So if you buy a strip, you're going to be able to eat 98% of it.
Wow.
Yeah. So he teaches them by our spec. So most of them have been trained in-house. We tried to build the staff early. We wanted them to grow with us. We wanted to have bench strength. We have a boardroom where we're going to teach classes and do demonstrations.
I think I talked to Joe in that room. I think that's the room I might have.
Yeah, he was in there when
okay. That's a nice room. So that's a smart idea. So what kind of classes are you going to?
Well, we had the first class we scheduled was how to make gumbo, and because it was in February,
mm-hmm.
It was cold.
Yeah, no, that's perfect.
Sounded good, and then COVID hit in March.
Oh, it was that February? Okay, the bad February.
Okay. So we had to cancel it, and we couldn't do anything for a long time.
Yeah,
but we're doing some what we call Steak 101. Joe does a brisket class for us.
Great.
We do some charcuterie board, wine pairing classes and stuff like that. So we're getting back into the groove there. We also have a small lunch menu.
Mm-hmm.
We have maybe 8 to 10 sandwiches that are just really good. We've got a steak sandwich that's grilled tenderloin. That's our #1 seller. We've got a double cheeseburger.
Looks so good.
Wagyu hot dog with 4/6 chili on it. We've got a Bell and Evans chicken breast sandwich that's outstanding. We've got a bacon, lettuce, tomato with an egg. That's really good.
That sounds so good right now.
And now we have a brisket cheese melt. That's killer. Yeah.
Something special about brisket and cheese.
It's a great item. So we have some tacos and salads.
What time? What hours is lunch for you guys?
11 till 2.
Okay.
We're open Tuesday through Saturday.
From 11 or 10?
The store opens at 10.
At 10. Okay.
We close at 6.
Okay.
The butcher shop closes at 6.
So are there a lot of people calling in for meat? I know that right when the pandemic hit, there was a mad rush to get meat because people were nervous that they wouldn't be able to. Did you guys have that same?
And we had it too. That was good. No, I think the experience of coming in and seeing that meat, seeing everything around it, picking out the one you want is important. So we get some carry out or call in, but not much. We're in the process of trying to launch an e-commerce portion of our business. So we'll be able to send out frozen steaks and gift boxes.
Oh, that's smart. Oh, that's really smart. Okay. Well, let me know when that comes out.
Definitely, because we got a packaging machine that's unbelievable. So it makes a really pretty presentation and protects that steak for 6 months easy. And when you cut it open, it looks like fresh meat again.
It does. It's shocking. It's surprising because I ordered a lot during the pandemic just to see kind of what people were doing, and the ones that really knew what they're doing. When you open it up, it is really pretty. Some of them and that's part of the question that when I want to get to is kind of how these things happen. But one of the good things that people can know that are watching this, listening to this, that they should visit, and I want to kind of know what area in Fort Worth it is, but you're behind it too, because food safety is in your blood. It's integral to you. So you know that you're going to get good product, whereas you're not always sure every place that you go to.
Yeah, no, they kid me about it a lot. Don does. He calls me his redneck microbiologist. And it have the cleanest meat in town.
But it's important. It's very important.
And there are a lot of just simple rules.
Can we talk a little bit about them? And can we talk a little bit about freezing meat too? Because I don't think people know the rules that go with that too.
Sure. What do you want to talk about first?
We'll talk about, well, first, I think if we could mention the danger zone, but I think that might not necessarily resonate with everyone. When say someone buys a steak from you guys, how long would you say, or how long would it last in the refrigerator? And then if you were to freeze it, is there a special way to freeze it so you don't damage it?
Somebody's going to have the steak today or tomorrow. We wrap it in regular butcher paper.
Okay.
It's going to be longer than that. We vacuum package it for them, so it'll last a little bit longer. And then if they want to freeze it, it's in a great condition, a great package.
Perfect.
For freezing and for sous vide later on.
True. Yeah, very true. Say you bought, even just across the board, say you bought a steak, how long safely can you keep it in a, say a Ziploc, like a sealed container? How long can you keep it in your refrigerator? Or is there a certain time frame? Are you looking for something, or what are they?
Well, it depends on the temperature a lot of the refrigerator. If you can maintain it around 38, a lot of them are in the 40s.
Yeah.
But 48 a week easy, maybe 10 days. Frozen, fast freezing is important.
Okay.
Fast thawing is important.
Can you explain fast thawing?
I like to thaw in cold water. So it's if I have a frozen steak, it's probably thawed in 30 minutes.
Would you put it directly or put it in the packaging in the
packaging? Yeah, in the packaging.
Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid to ask, but I think someone might listen and go, "Oh, let's drop a steak in cold water." Okay.
You'd have a mess.
Yeah. You'd have a mess. Definitely. So that's okay. I never thought, I don't know why I've never thought of that. And I've always thawed in the refrigerator, and I don't know if is that okay?
Yeah, that's okay. And that's what's recommended.
Okay.
Not on the countertop while you're gone, but in the fridge. So it's gonna thaw, but the point there is going to thaw slowly,
really slow.
So you're going to see more purge, more juice come out of the steak than you would if you thaw it rapidly in cold water.
So then it's so for a better product and better end product for you, it's better to thaw it rapidly. That's great advice. I'm sure you guys tell people that and I'm sure you try to ask them, are you're going to be freezing but sometimes you plan on eating something in a day or two, things come up and then you have to end up freezing. Is it safe to have it, like say it's 5 days and then pop it in the freezer? Are you putting yourself at risk, or are you putting the steak at risk?
Should be fine.
Okay.
Should be fine. And the same principle for freezing applies to thawing, or vice versa. A slow freeze will build large ice crystals in the individual cells of the meat, because meat's about 75% water.
True.
So if it's building an iceberg in there, it's going to rupture the cell wall of the meat and create more purge. And if you freeze it rapidly, then it forms a lot of small crystals in there, and they don't form that large iceberg.
So freezing it rapidly, would that be like sticking it near the back of your freezer? I think that's the coldest point, isn't it, of most freezers? Or?
Yeah. Of course, in industry, we have blast freezers.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you want to I like to put them on a sheet tray, put them in the freezer, and then probably 2 hours later, package them up, store them.
That's I sadly I have the smallest freezer in the world right now. I plan on in my next iteration, I plan on getting a much larger refrigerator and freezer. But that's a smart way too. Is if you, like you spoke of ice crystals, and is that what is considered freezer burn, or freezer burn something completely different?
Freezer burns completely different, because most of these freezers and refrigerators are frost free. They're pulling moisture out of the air, and they start pulling moisture out of the surface of that steak if it's not vacuum sealed. And so you start getting kind of a grayish look on the top. I've seen vacuum packaged steaks that had pinholes in them. And so it freeze burned through the pinhole, and people thought the steak had worms, but it's just dried pieces of meat, areas of meat.
Oh, in like a pinhole shape.
Yeah, perfect circle.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Well, so with freezer burn, is that something you would just toss, or can you cut around for it, or is that even?
Usually, by then you have not taken very good care of it, and it's going to have an off taste, and it's better to just get rid of it and do a better job next time.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, keep at it. Yeah, keep trying. And then with chicken, obviously, you're not. I don't know why people do this, but you're not supposed to rinse it off with water.
Correct. People wash their chickens forever because they're trying to get rid of salmonella. But what they're doing is they're splattering salmonella on their sink and surrounding area, and they don't clean it up good. So there's a chance for cross contamination there to other food products.
Yes, and yourself and other things. Yeah. So how would you recommend when you purchase chicken? Do you recommend just cutting off pieces that you don't like, but that's it? Wiping it down, patting it down, maybe?
You can. I pat it down, dry it with paper towel or something.
Yeah, I know that I've dated people that are very phobic of like little red marks in the chicken, or like little, like anything that's fun. It doesn't bother me so much.
Just blood veins.
Yeah, exactly. Probably the same people that don't like a rare steak. I think that. How do you like your steak?
Medium rare.
Mm-hmm.
When I grew up, we ate everything extremely well done, and I learned to like it. Yeah. And then later on, when I was working at a steakhouse in A&M, I started trying better pieces of meat and cooked medium to medium rare. Mm-hmm. Huge difference.
Oh, huge. I grew up on rare because my dad liked rare. My brother likes medium. My brother, he likes, if he gets a fillet, he tells him to butterfly it and make it well done. It makes me so sad. Like a place like Ruth's Chris Steakhouse, I'm like, oh, please, that's not.
Please don't go sit at another table.
Yeah, don't let anybody see us. And also, too, the chefs are probably like, oh, please. But I guess I'm sure I'm sure a lot of people like that. But I prefer medium rare now than I did. I don't know, because sometimes when I order rare at places, it tends to be raw almost. Like I don't think they get that.
It's hard to hit the mark, mm-hmm. unless you're doing sous vide.
Yeah.
So a lot of times on those thicker cuts, it's going to have that purple color in the middle.
Do you have a sous vide little machine at your house?
We do.
Yeah.
We don't use it a whole lot, but I like to do the reverse sear, which is very similar.
Can you explain reverse sear to people?
Well, it's just cooking the steak or the roast or like a tri-tip at a low temperature in the oven, say 250. 275 until the internal temperature of the meat is around 120. Then you turn on the broiler or take it out and put it on a grill to get some grill marks on it and char the outside.
Yeah.
So it gives you more depth of medium rare because it's not trying to, the hard heat's not trying to go through to the middle.
And it's almost flawless if you know it. After a while, it's an easy.
It is. A Wagyu tri-tip, reverse seared.
Oh,
it's killer.
I love tri-tip. I grew up eating tri-tip, and yeah, there's slices. I make making like tri-tip French dips and different like that. So Do you guys sell tri-tip?
We do. We tell everybody it's a California brisket.
It is, sadly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more brisket. When I first, about 10 years ago or so, I lived in Texas for a year. But when I came back, I could find no brisket other than maybe at a deli or somewhere.
Yeah.
But now we have a lot more options. But
I had to move to Chicago for a couple of years, and I went to the meat market and asked them for brisket. They said, we don't have any briskets, but we can order you one. So fine. So they ordered me a brisket, and it's corned beef when I got it.
So they got you a corned beef.
Yeah,
Hey, it's close.
Close. Same cut of meat.
Yeah. Don't a lot of corned beef places. I mean, places that do corned beef, isn't it the navel? Or
Yeah, but that brisket flat's still premium.
Yeah.
We do some homemade pastrami every once in a while at the store, and it's great.
So is that something that if you should pop in, like that's not something that you announce, it's just something that's there?
Usually St. Patrick's Day or something like that, we'll do it as a special.
A lot of people don't have the space to
right. No, we've got a really good recipe, and Ty's been helping me with that. He's good at it. So
yeah, and that must be fun to have him working with you.
It is that kind of mentor him.
Mm-hmm.
He comes from good genetics.
Definitely.
So, yeah. And it came out of the meat science department of A&M. So he knows his way around a knife.
And that's important. And it's important to you want to have people that are passionate about what they do, and it's in his blood. And I had mentioned Homer. I spoke to Homer about a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. And it was, what a great conversation that was. And it was so interesting. And there's so many interesting individuals in the barbecue world, but especially that kind of roam around the camps too. It seems like you guys get.
Well, that's where I first met Homer, was at a barbecue. I mean, at a chuck wagon cook-off in Austin, Texas.
Really?
I had the chuck wagon as well. And I was.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Competing. I'm not as famous as Homer. These guys in the chuck wagon, it doesn't matter if you ran out of something, they're going to loan it to you. If you got a piece of equipment that's broken, they're going to help you fix it. It's just amazing culture.
Wow. I would love to come. I would love to go to one of those cookouts someday. That's another dream of mine. And that it sounds like the barbecue world, but it sounds like even like that's like shirt off your back kind of community.
Well, it's tougher work than cooking a brisket, because you got to set up the camp and build all the fire. The coal management is the key to the whole thing. So it's a lot of fun. My daughter was in high school and loved to do that, loved to help me with it. Well, she graduated and went to A&M and got a master's in meat science and microbiology. Taught the barbecue class for 4 years. And now it's off in Washington, D.C. So I don't have any help on the chuck wagon anymore. My wife and I can't do it by ourselves.
It's a lot of work. Did you do it? Did you get into it because of the competition aspect, or did you get into it because you were doing it at home, or how did it?
It was Don Ray and I again. We'd read where, when the cowboys got too old to work the cattle, they became the cook. So we decided we'd been hurt enough on that end. Let's become the cook. Okay. I think that's more dangerous than working cattle.
Yeah, it's hard work too.
Hard work, very hard.
Also, but I guess like in the older days, you were also the medic, and you were also the barber, counselor. Probably that's one of the biggest roles that you were.
Yeah, right.
You had to listen to all these stories of all these guys, and but you have that background because of your military background. You could have probably helped someone if they get injured or.
I think I could.
Yeah.
We trained one of the units I was in. We trained Army medics, combat medics. So we knew all the basics.
That world is fascinating too for me, because when you go back in time and look at the different wars and the survivor rate and how many, like there's things that people died of way back when that they now come home and they're wounded and they're, you know, missing limbs, and there's the people survive things that you never would imagine because of
Oh,
the
change
advancement.
technology.
So then it's open Tuesday through Saturday from 10 a.m. till, you said, p.m.
6.
So from 10 a.m. till 6 p.m. And then there's lunch. And then is there anything, there's grab and go stuff too, right?
Grab and go, and we do some Uber Eats. Come pick up some stuff from time to time. We have good grab and goes, twice baked potatoes, mac and cheese, green chili, hominy casserole,
Oh, that sounds
cream corn, asparagus. We have the salads. We have a house salad and a Caesar salad.
so it's a one-stop shop.
One stop, and you can get a bottle of wine on the way out.
That's great. That's really great. Now, is there a place in Fort Worth for people that live in the area? Are there landmarks, or is there some? Is it near something so people know where it is?
It's almost across the street from the Ridgely Country Club.
Okay.
It's on Camp Bowie, which is the main artery going east and west. It's in a big center with Walgreens,
Okay.
so it's easy to find. We're on the corner, so we have a lot of easy parking.
And Joe had mentioned something about eventually doing barbecue. Is that something that you'll have possibly someday? Is that you'll have a barbecue
Oh, yeah.
option?
Yeah. No, we're doing that.
Oh, right now. So if you want to get
We are.
so you can come there and order a brisket or order.
Sure.
Oh, okay.
Brisket, whole smoked tenderloin, prime rib.
Excellent. Okay. That's
Holiday season. We move a lot of those.
especially the turkeys and prime ribs and all that
Yeah,
stuff.
smoked turkey breast is crazy good because it's 100% edible.
Yeah. And they're big too. I don't think people realize how big they
No
are.
waste.
Yeah, no, it's to me, it's a sleeper. I hate to calling something a sleeper, but it's such a great to order at a barbecue place. And it sounds like it'll be great from you guys.
Well, I forgot to mention that we do have a smoked turkey wrap.
Oh,
Yeah, it's lettuce, tomatoes. It's got a special avocado aioli sauce on it and a piece of bacon from South Central Texas. And it is awesome.
you sell bacon too on its own, right?
We do. We sell bacon. We get it out of Bernie, Texas.
Okay.
Fine smokehouse down there. And it's oak smoked instead of hickory smoked.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of unusual for bacon.
Yeah, definitely.
It's got a great flavor to it.
And then I wanted to, I'd be remiss to not ask you about the chili, because you sent me the video, and I love chili so much. And
It was fun.
yeah. 4 6s.
You can go online to the 4 6 store, and they have this chili for sale over the internet. So we developed the recipe for them. That video that I sent you was developed for a competition that we're currently in, and I can't talk about it.
Okay. All right. So stay tuned for that.
Yeah, we'll stay tuned for that.
Why is chili so important to you?
I told you my uncle loved to come to the deer camp. He always made chili, and he brought ground tenderloin to make chili because he said you need good meat in chili, not bad meat in chili.
Mm-hmm.
But his chili was unbelievable. I've been going down to Terlingua for probably 15 years now, judging chili at the international championship. So I thought I knew how to make what I called a Terlingua worthy chili. And the 4 6s, we were doing some stuff with them, and they asked if we could make them a chili mix. So what I did is I pulled out like 10 of the most famous chili recipes, 2 of them previous winners at Terlingua. And I don't think they tell you everything they put in there.
Imagine.
So I put it in a spreadsheet, and I had the chilies across the top, the ingredients down the side, and then the amounts, each one. And I said, well, what is the best combination, maybe, of those chilies? So I put them together, what I call a hybrid chili that's really pretty decent. It's
easy to make with this. All you need is good meat, right? Or you probably need some other.
You need 2 pounds of meat, 32 ounces of chicken broth and an onion,
That's it.
and that's it.
That's like, and I had mentioned in our emails back and forth, I had mentioned that this is probably 15 years ago, probably 20 years ago, I bought a number of the books, like with all the winners of all the chili competitions. Right. And I just went through, I think I made 15. I killed my friends because I'd always make it too spicy, I think, but I just wanted them to try it out. And I love, and then I eventually found one that I love, but I haven't made it in so many years because I've been taking care of my mom, and I haven't she doesn't like spicy things, so it doesn't anything with spice too. So, but it's that sounds so you can get that online, but you could also get that at the meat board, right?
Meat board, yes, sir.
I love the analytical nature that you put into it. I think that's very clever, and it's smart. And then also, but it also has to be something that makes sense to you.
Yes, and it doesn't blow your head off. It's got a little bite to it, but chili's supposed to.
Should. And
if you at the end decided that you need beans, add them without me seeing it, okay?
I would add beans. It's what, coming from being a Yankee, I guess I'm a Yankee. I'm in Southern California. I think I'm from the South, but apparently I'm not. But it's I don't put beans in my chili, but I don't disparage. But I know that it's definitely sacrilegious.
It is. In Texas, it is for sure.
But some people do, like I've talked to off camera, and they won't say it on the air. They do like beans. Do you like? But you like beans. You have a bean recipe online, right?
Oh, we love beans. Love beans. We eat them together, but not mixing them together.
Not mixing them. Not in the same pot.
Yeah.
Do you have a favorite then? But you do have a. I thought I saw when I was searching things about you. You have a baked bean recipe online, don't you?
I don't think so.
Or someone attributed something to you? Have you made baked beans before, and then someone maybe wrote about them? Did you make it for something? Maybe.
Could be, yeah.
Something.
Yeah.
So
on baked beans, I like to buy bushes, and then I jazz it up a little bit.
Yeah, doctor it up with some more stuff. Yeah. That's not too bad.
But pinto beans, completely different story. And those are the ones that all the ranches cook, all the chuck wagons cook.
From the raw form, right?
Yeah, they're dried.
Mm-hmm.
And at the competitions, they just give you a whole bag of them and say, fix some beans.
Oh, okay.
I can use their own recipes. Most of them are going to use bacon or ham hocks, something to flavor it up a little bit.
How often do you eat hominy?
But hominy is unbelievable. I used to hate hominy because it was one of the school cafeteria meals when I was growing up. So it was so cheap. But chuck wagons, we learned you put some cream and cheese, and green chilies, and bacon, salt, pepper, then bake that as a casserole. It'll convert you over to becoming a hominy lover.
I still need to do that. I have I have a recipe that was given to me that I need to try, and it sounds very close to what you were just saying. So
Tom Perini had one in his cookbook. It's probably, I'm going to say, the DNA base for all the others.
And I've been talking to Lisa back and forth because I want to highlight what they do too, and she's been trying, but they're very busy people.
Oh yeah. She keeps them busy.
She probably, but they're seeing that fireplace, the photo. I've seen photos of that fireplace, and it's mythic in my head. At least it's.
Yeah. That's a nice place, beautiful place.
Yeah, I'd like to stay there someday. I think don't they have some cabins or some cottages?
They do.
Okay.
They do. And a cup of coffee out there early in the morning, you probably see 15 or 20 turkey.
Oh, that's great.
Wild turkey, yeah.
My mom, this is a funny story. My mom was talking to a woman on the phone, and she lived she lived in Buffalo, but they had camp maybe in Canada or something. And she said, she was on the phone with her, and she said, hold on one second, I need to shoot a turkey. And then so she put the phone down. I guess my mom could hear everything that was happening. And then she came back, and then she said, okay, Brian got home, he's going to hang it now. But she went and shot a turkey while she was on the phone with my mom. So I just love that, like living in suburbia, growing up here. And when living in Texas for a little while, I started to understand, and I've started to understand more about the ranch lifestyle and understand about what Texas is about and what the South is about and cowboy culture. And it fascinates me. And it's something that if I feel like it's in my blood, it was in my father's blood. He loved things that
Yeah.
but he wasn't like, he was a salesman. He wasn't
That's what Foodways Texas goal is to preserve those different foods from different parts of the state.
Mhm.
East Texas is going to be different cooking than West Texas. Maybe North Texas is going to be different than South Texas. So they try to preserve all of that. It's fascinating.
It's important, really important.
Yeah.
But I wanted to finish off because now that Fort Worth has a bounty of wonderful barbecue places, have you been to any of the newer places?
I have not been to Goldie's. It's a pretty good little ride, and I don't want to stand in line.
Maybe we could email Lane or Johnny or something.
But we don't have any bad barbecue in Fort Worth.
No. So there's and I guess if you name one, you would be missing out on naming 15 or 20 others. So
Correct.
But do you have an offset cooker at your house? Or do you?
Not in my house. I cook on a Weber grill, gas grill, when I'm cooking brisket. But we have an offset at the store. So it's actually Joe's.
Have you cooked a brisket from start to finish yourself? Is that something that you do, or is that?
Absolutely. Pretty good at it.
This is so great. I think that people at least will get a chance to get to know you a little bit better. And I know that they'll at least see your face now at camp and then maybe associate it with this. I want them to associate it with the meat board. It sounds like the meat board is perfect. You can come in, get some lunch, and then order steaks for meat for the night and get all the other accoutrements. Sounds
correct.
Perfect.
Problem is, after eating one of our lunches, you may not be very hungry that night.
So you should, but also too, you should probably order before you eat, because I think that you order more. Yeah.
That's right.
That's why you don't go to the supermarket when you're hungry.
No.
It's always a mistake. But Dr. Nick, thank you so much for taking the time. Is there anything that we missed or that you want people to know about you or know about what you guys?
Well, from the list you sent me, we covered a lot of it.
Yeah. Thank you so much for taking the time.
God be with your mother.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a great evening. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank you.